Isabella Carmichael thought she was untouchable inside the walls of the city's most prestigious residence, but the secrets she uncovered would cost her everything, and her death would unravel a web of betrayal, lies, and hidden crimes no one saw coming. The residence had always been a symbol of luxury and exclusivity, standing tall on a quiet hill that overlooked the city's skyline. Its polished exterior, manicured gardens, and grand driveway gave the impression of perfection, a place untouched by the chaos of the world outside. Residents moved through its halls with a sense of pride, confident that within these walls nothing could disturb their carefully constructed lives. They entertained influential guests, signed important deals, and hosted glittering events, all while the world below remained unaware of what really happened inside. One crisp morning, that illusion of safety was shattered. A housekeeper, moving through the grand staircase on her early rounds, stumbled upon a lifeless figure sprawled across the marble floor. The victim, a young socialite named Isabella Carmichael, was part of the city's most elite circles. She had always been admired for her charm and elegance, someone whose presence could light up even the largest of rooms. But now she lay motionless, her eyes staring blankly toward the chandelier above. At first glance, it appeared to be a tragic accident, yet something about the scene made even the most experienced staff uneasy. An expensive vase lay shattered nearby, its pieces scattered across the polished floor, though there were no signs of a struggle. A faint trail of footprints led away from the staircase and vanished around a corner, too small to belong to any of the staff who regularly moved through the house. A subtle, strange odor lingered near the private study, one that seemed out of place amidst the carefully maintained scent of roses and citrus that filled the home. The combination of these details made the authorities pause, questioning whether this was merely an accident or something far more sinister. When the police arrived, they immediately sensed the complexity of the case. Cameras lined the walls, recording every movement within the house. Yet when investigators began reviewing the footage, gaps and anomalies appeared. Moments were missing, sections of hallways were blocked, and doors that should have been locked seemed to open on their own. The mansion, once seen as a fortress of wealth and safety, now felt like a labyrinth of secrets. Whispers began to circulate among the staff and residents. Some spoke of late-night arguments they had overheard, while others remembered fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures in corridors where no one should have been. Investigators noted every detail, aware that each clue could unlock a piece of the puzzle, yet also knowing that every corner of the mansion seemed designed to conceal something. Isabella's death was not just a loss, it was a breach of trust. A signal that even the most prestigious walls could not keep secrets forever. As the sun set behind the mansion, casting long shadows over its grand facade, a sense of unease settled over the house. The residents, once confident and unshakable, began to feel the weight of suspicion pressing down upon them. It was clear that this investigation would not be simple. Every room, every hallway, every locked door could hold a clue, but it could also hide the next shocking revelation. The residence, a symbol of wealth and security, had become the center of a mystery that promised to unravel lives and expose the hidden darkness lurking beneath its pristine surface. The investigation moved slowly, each day revealing more questions than answers. Detectives began interviewing the staff and residents, but no one's story lined up perfectly. Everyone had an alibi, yet small inconsistencies made the investigators pause. The night guard mentioned seeing shadows moving along the hallways at strange hours, shapes that did not correspond to any known resident or employee. The security logs, which had once been considered flawless, now showed short gaps during which certain doors opened and closed with no one recorded entering or leaving. It was as if someone had learned how to navigate the house without being noticed. In Isabella's private quarters, a series of clues began to emerge. Her diary, neatly kept and seemingly innocuous, contained cryptic entries about a secret project she had been involved in and growing unease about someone observing her every move. Investigators discovered encrypted messages on her phone and computer, messages that hinted at dangerous financial dealings and encounters with unknown figures. Each discovery added weight to the idea that Isabella had stumbled into a world far more dangerous than the elegant parties she attended. Forensic experts examined the staircase and surrounding rooms, noting details that seemed insignificant at first. Tiny traces of a rare chemical compound appeared on the handrails and door handles, a substance typically used in laboratory experiments. None of the residents were known to have any connection to chemicals or labs, which suggested that someone had deliberately brought it in. The investigators began to wonder whether Isabella had been experimenting with something she shouldn't have, or whether the chemical had been left as a clue, or perhaps as a weapon. The more detectives explored the mansion, the more they realized that nothing was as it seemed. Every luxurious corner, every polished surface, seemed to conceal secrets. The study, where Isabella had spent long hours alone, revealed hidden compartments in the furniture and false panels in the walls. Investigators found documents with partial codes, financial statements with missing pages, and photographs of meetings that had never been reported. It became clear that Isabella had been quietly collecting information, possibly to expose something illegal or immoral within the residence. As the investigation unfolded, suspicion began to grow among the residents themselves. Even those who had appeared friendly and trustworthy were not above scrutiny. Security footage revealed fleeting images of people entering rooms that should have been empty, sometimes carrying folders or bags that no one could identify. Questions about motives multiplied. Who would want to harm Isabella, and why? Was it someone she knew well, someone she trusted, or an outsider who had found a way into this tightly controlled world? By the end of the second week, the detectives understood that this was no ordinary investigation. Isabella's death had set off a chain of discoveries that exposed hidden alliances, secret dealings, and silent rivalries. The mansion, which had always seemed like a safe haven, had become a labyrinth of mystery. Every step through its hallways brought new evidence and deeper suspicion. Each revelation suggested that Isabella had not merely been a victim of chance, but a target in a complex and deliberate plot. The tension within the residence had grown unbearable. Every resident, once confident in their social standing and influence, now lived under a cloud of suspicion. Detectives focused their attention on a small circle of individuals whose behavior suggested hidden motives. Some had financial stakes that could be ruined if Isabella's discoveries became public. Others carried grudges, resentments that had been carefully concealed behind polite smiles and polished manners. Every person connected to the mansion became a potential suspect, and the more the investigators dug, the more they realized how deeply the deception ran. A breakthrough came when the detectives analyzed the rooftop garden, a place where residents often met for quiet conversations away from prying eyes. Security footage showed fleeting shadows moving among the foliage late at night, figures exchanging small envelopes and documents that were never accounted for in their official schedules. Financial records linked to these transactions revealed coded payments and transfers, suggesting bribery, blackmail, and the movement of illicit funds. It became apparent that Isabella had stumbled upon a network that extended far beyond the residence, one that involved external actors with a vested interest in keeping secrets buried. Meanwhile, decrypting Isabella's laptop exposed another layer of the story. Files detailed her attempts to expose the hidden operations, naming individuals involved and documenting evidence of wrongdoing. She had carefully gathered proof, building a case she intended to present to authorities. But the investigators discovered a shocking twist. One of her closest confidants had secretly shared portions of this information with an unknown third party, someone outside the residence. Isabella had trusted this friend implicitly, never suspecting betrayal. This revelation reframed the entire investigation, indicating that her death had been orchestrated with inside knowledge and outside influence, a perfect storm of betrayal, greed, and fear. The detectives began tracing the movements of each resident and staff member during the critical hours leading up to Isabella's death. Subtle details came to light. Altered personal records, suspicious access to previously locked rooms, and unusual phone activity. Every lead pointed to a carefully coordinated effort, but it was still unclear who had pulled the strings. The investigation exposed the intricate choreography behind Isabella's murder, revealing the careful planning required to manipulate a house of people so well-guarded and sophisticated. By this point, the mansion itself seemed to watch the detectives as much as they watched it. Hidden cameras, secret passages, and locked rooms all served as reminders that appearances were deceiving. The residence, once a place of safety and prestige, had become a stage for secrets, lies, and deadly ambitions. Every day brought new evidence, each piece revealing that Isabella's murder had not been a crime of passion, but a calculated attempt to silence someone who had uncovered too much. As the fourth week of the investigation drew to a close, the detectives were closing in on the mastermind. Layers of deception, financial corruption, and hidden alliances were slowly unraveling. The residence, with its polished exterior and perfectly landscaped gardens, was no longer a symbol of perfection, but a web of betrayal. The pieces were falling into place, setting the stage for a revelation that would shock the residents, the city, and everyone who had once believed in the illusion of safety within those walls. The investigation had reached its final stage, and every corner of the residence was under scrutiny. Detectives carefully pieced together the tangled web of secrets, alliances, and betrayals that had led to Isabella's death. Each clue pointed toward a central figure, someone whose polished reputation and public image hid a dangerous ambition. The evidence was painstakingly collected. Tampered security footage, hidden financial transactions, and the revelations from Isabella's laptop and diary all converged on a single conclusion. The mastermind was a prominent resident, widely admired for philanthropy and social influence. To the outside world, they were untouchable, a person whose name carried weight in business, charity, and society. But beneath the veneer of respectability lay a ruthless strategist, someone who had orchestrated events with precision, ensuring that every move seemed natural while concealing the lethal intent behind it. This person had manipulated staff, coordinated with outsiders, and exploited the mansion's complex layout to carry out the plan. Their motive was clear. Isabella had discovered information that could destroy their carefully built empire, and her silence had to be secured at any cost. The detectives prepared a careful operation to confront the suspect, gathering all evidence and ensuring that the arrest could withstand scrutiny. When the confrontation finally occurred, the level of deception became fully apparent. The suspect had covered tracks that no one else could see, altered schedules, and even used intermediaries to create layers of misdirection. What had seemed like small anomalies, a missing fingerprint, a shadow on security footage, an unexplained envelope, suddenly made sense. Each piece of the puzzle revealed the depth of planning and control the suspect had exerted over the residents. As the case went to court, the full extent of the conspiracy was revealed to the public. Testimonies and evidence exposed the hidden alliances within the mansion, the bribed officials who had unknowingly aided the scheme, and the extent to which Isabella had gathered proof before her death. The trial shocked the city, demonstrating that even the most prestigious and seemingly safe environments could conceal crimes of extraordinary cunning. Friends, neighbors, and colleagues were left reeling, unable to reconcile the public image of the suspect with the reality of their actions. The mansion returned to a quiet state, but it was no longer the same. The air of elegance and perfection had been replaced with tension and memory. Residents were left to navigate the lingering suspicions and unspoken truths that remained long after the investigation ended. The story of Isabella Carmichael and the secrets she uncovered served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that ambition, greed, and deception could lurk behind the most polished facades. Even as life resumed within the residence, the shadow of the past lingered. Each room, hallway, and hidden corner now carried the weight of what had transpired. The grandeur of the mansion could no longer disguise the darkness that had been exposed, nor the extraordinary lengths to which some would go to protect their secrets. Isabella's legacy lived on, not only in the evidence she left behind, but in the lasting lesson that appearances could be deceiving, and that behind every wall of prestige, danger, and deceit could be waiting to surface.